Hey everyone, we're going to take a quick break to talk about our sponsor for the month, the Von Mack Agency. Von Mack is a full-service digital marketing agency with a focus on tour and activity operators. They offer it all. SEO, websites, pay-per-clicks, logos, content writing. If it's online marketing, they got you covered. As we mentioned before, it's uber important to hire an agency that understands our industry. And the Von Mack Agency knows water sports. Trust me.
And they do all the shit that you don't want to do. They do all the shit that you're probably not very good at, and they are. Look, for listeners of the show, America herself is giving a free consult, all right? If nothing else, give her a shout, give her a call, take 30 minutes out of your day. More importantly, take 30 minutes out of her day so she can get you straight on your marketing needs.
That's right. What do you have to lose? Head to VonMackAgency.com and go to the Contact Us page to get started. Again, VonMackAgency.com. And most importantly, let them know you were sent by the AWG guys. All right, let's get back to the show.
Hey, everybody. It is your favorite Awkward Watersports Guys, Kevin and Greg. And today we are joined by Nick Glassett of It's the Jump Off. And as always, I'm pretty sure I'm joined here.
You are.
With my Kimosabi, Greg Fisher. Greg, how you doing, buddy?
Okay. I got just a quick story. I almost broke my foot this weekend. So I went to go get some propane. Had the propane in the back of the car. And I went home, got home, opened up the back of the door, and the propane tank rolled right onto my foot. Thank God. I always wear my sandals, but that day I wore my shoes. But if I didn't wear, I would have easily broke my foot. But it was awful. Like, I couldn't feel my foot for at least a good 30 minutes. I swear I broke it. Christina's about to take me to the hospital, and all of a sudden I start feeling it again. But man, it was awful, man. That was just. So I couldn't walk the whole week.
That's were you like hopping around? Were you like hopping around holding your foot like in the middle of the parking lot? Like
no, I was yelling and screaming. The whole neighborhood heard me yelling and screaming, hopping around. I fell in the grass, and then the sprinklers started coming on. It was just
that's like a Chevy Chase.
And then I'm just sitting there wet and pissed off. And then my wife's phone didn't work. Her phone died. So I had no one. The only thing I could do was scream but I didn't. And I'm like, I'm not screaming. I'm not going to have all the neighbors come out, make a big scene, even though I was in a lot of pain. So I called my son, and he's like, "Hey, Dad," and he's like playing Fortnite, and he's all in his game. I said, "I need you to come out here like right now." And he's like, I got to finish this game." I'm like, "No, you need to come out." So he gets my wife, but yeah, they're inside the house. My wife's phone's dead. It was just but yeah, the whole weekend I just really didn't do anything. But yeah, be careful when you're taking propane out of the back of your car.
Greg, I think that's just you, man. I think you got a bitch ass foot. Dude, speaking of screaming and swearing, man, like and before we bring Nick on, I got to tell a quick story too. I don't know if you guys have like been on social media or seen this video of this captain, this fishing captain. Did you get a chance to watch that last night?
I did.
Greg?
Yeah, I did watch it this morning.
We won't spend an entire amount of time on it because I know we could probably talk about this forever. But Nick, the long and short of it is, and it's gone viral, but this fishing captain. The premise was he was on the back. Like, have you ever been fishing before? Like offshore fishing?
Yes, I've been fishing. I just got back from a free diving spearfishing trip in the Bahamas.
Oh, awesome! So you're familiar. So anyway, this captain is on the boat with his dad and his two sons fishing, and he's like going back to unhook a mahi, and the dad like slips and bumps the throttle. And the captain goes off the back and hits the swim platform. But when he comes back out, like he goes fucking ham, man. He's like, "Motherfucker," and he's like throwing his sunglasses down, and he's like screaming at the guy. He's like, "This is the worst fishing trip I've ever done." Like he does, like the guy just goes absolutely crazy. And then, of course, like, and I'm not sure if you guys see this in the bounce house, if you guys have had any like public stuff like this, but when you go viral for being like an asshole. And you own a business, the internet responds, man, and they responded. Like I went and looked up there, and I'm not gonna put them on blast. You can go look up Fishing Charter Goes Crazy or whatever and figure out the name of the company if you want. But I went to the company and I looked at their Google, and sure as hell, man, everybody's just like hitting them with like 1 star, 1 star, and I hate to see that happen. But like one side of it, like I get it. I've driven boats for years. I've been out there in the sun, and there's just days that like I buried my head in that parasail and just wanted to fucking whoa, you know what I mean? But I'm a professional. I've never done that, obviously, and it's like, man, like no matter what happens, you got to keep your shit together. You can't go crazy swearing at customers.
Yeah.
So on the one side, I understand the guy's pain because you're out there 10, 12 hours a day, sweating balls. Just like, man, I mean, I don't have to tell you. You're like, man, probably would love to fall off the back deck of a boat into some water after 12 hours of setting up, bounce houses and inflatable slides and everything like that. But I mean, man, you got to keep it pro out there, man. You can't be swearing in front of it because one side of me, the captain's like, yeah, been there. But the dad side of me, like, yo, man, I'd be like, fishing trip over. We're going to go back to these docks, and you're about to catch these fucking hands. Real talk, bro. Anyway, that's me and Greg's weekend. Guys, we don't want to hog up the show talking about Greg's broken foot and idiot captains. Let's bring on our guest today. Nick Glassett is the owner of – now, I know your channel – and I know your brand it's the Jump Off. Is that the name of your physical rental business as well, or is it just the Jump Off?
Yeah, we just call it the Jump Off. When I made the logo, I made the logo myself back when I started the company, and I just threw the little "it's" at the top to kind of be like, I don't know, funny, cute, whatever. And then forward, to when I'm starting the website, the Jump Off is taken, and I could not pry it away from the lady who has it, and she doesn't use it. Like, it drives me nuts. But so I'm like, I just threw the "it's" in front of it, so I didn't have to do a .net or whatever, or a .co, because I wanted the .com, because I know that's important. So the "it's" is just kind of in there because it's in there.
So you guys might be asking yourselves, like, what does a bounce house rental have to do with water sports? And if I'm being completely transparent, nothing. I want to get into that business. I want to bring Nick on and get all the information I can from him because I mean, that's partly true. That's partly accurate. But I did see a lot of similarities between our industries as I've been doing my due diligence. And I came across your YouTube channel, and like, you're giving your information away. This is something Greg and I have been doing ourselves for the last 3 years. You seem so excited about your industry and helping people get started. And I think that's so fucking cool what you're doing, man. And you seem so passionate about it that I'm like, yo, I got to reach out. We got to get this guy on the show. We got to talk about your story and everything like that. So,
Kevin, it's a big business, though.
Huge, right?
and also the inflatable business is a lot of similarities to water sports. I mean, look at all the on the water type inflatable. Are you tired of spending countless hours managing your water sport and boat rental reservations manually? Is your current system outdated or doesn't provide the necessary features that your business requires? Hi, I'm Greg Fisher, the CEO of WaveRes, an online reservation software built by operators for operators. With our system, you can offer 24/7 online booking to your customers, allowing them to book and pay for their rentals at their convenience. You can also send SMS notifications to your customers, keeping them updated on their reservation status and any changes that may occur. Custom options and dynamic pricing enable you to offer tailored packages to your customers, helping you stand out from your competitor. Plus, our system integrates with companies like Werewolf Digital Waivers and TripShock, streamlining your operations and ensuring a seamless booking experience for your customers. Our software is the best choice for water sport and boat tour operators, as it is designed to cater specifically to your needs. So why waste any more time on manual reservation management? Try WaveRes today and take your business to the next level. For a limited time, mention this ad and receive a $100 credit when you sign up. Check out waveres.com for more info or to schedule a free demo. Now let's get back to the show. Jump parks that some of our listeners have. The big, I mean, remember at Crab Island, they used to have a big old obstacle course, and they were charging like $20 a ticket to go play on that thing. So water sports and inflatables, they go hand in hand. So this is just a really interesting show. And I look forward to learning more about your story and how you got into it. So without further ado, you go ahead and introduce yourself, give yourself a little bit of background.
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Nick Glassett. I started a bounce house rental business knowing absolutely nothing. Back in 2019, summer of 2019, and I've now scaled it to we have 60 inflatables now. We're the biggest in our immediate area. 60 inflatables sounds huge, probably everybody listening, but it's not super huge compared to some of the giant ones, right? But I kind of live in a smaller area. And then from there, like I've always wanted to start a YouTube channel. And back in my corporate life, I led a lot of employees. I'd have upwards of 500 employees around Christmas time. And so I have like this passion to teach and mentor. So I kind of figured, well, let me see if I can start a YouTube channel in the bounce house space, because the information out there was just total garbage. And sure enough, kind of like a lightning in a bottle type of accident, I tried to make the best videos possible, and they went nutso. They went absolutely nutso. And to where, so now, fast forward to now, I've got a huge following on YouTube and on TikTok. Those are kind of the two main platforms that I mess around on. I'm Instagram too. But, and so once I kind of became, so to speak, bounce house famous, I kind of knew the internet well enough from my prior life of trying to be a blogger a few years prior, that once you have that kind of attention, you can kind of start to do whatever you want. And so I launched the jumpoffstore.com. I invented some straps that will help you out, like some bounce house tools, so to speak. And those started to go crazy. So then I've really kind of put a lot of effort into growing the jumpoffstore.com, and then as well as scaling my rental business and the YouTube channel, and then all the crazy things that now come with it. I've got affiliate deals with some I got an influencer contract right here on my desk. Like, life has kind of gone a direction I didn't think it could possibly go, working with bounce houses, but here we are. So,
man, you and Kevin are so similar in a lot of ways. Kevin's doing something similar with Destiny Water Adventures, where he's now horizontally integrating, creating a boater's education test product and all that stuff. So it's just like, you guys are going to be friends for a long time.
Dude, what is that tattoo on your right arm there? Can you pull up your sleeve there?
This one?
Yeah.
It's my head on a robot body.
I got a Cupid doll on my right arm. I just thought that was weird, man. I felt like a lot of similarities. Like when I was watching your videos, man, I did. I felt like a kindred spirit to you, man. Our business is a little, man, I'm so interested in what you guys do, because I think it's so cool. It's so much fun. And I see so many entrepreneurs or people getting their feet wet in the side of things. Low barrier to entry. It's a little bit more difficult for us, because I don't think, I think in that one group that you're in, I just joined it, there's like 22,000 people. So it seems like there's a lot of, for lack of a better term, and I don't mean this derogatory to people trying to get started, it's just an easy term, but like the wantrepreneur, people that want to get in the business, don't have a ton of cash. So how long have you been in business, and when did you start this idea of like growing a following?
Yeah, so the Jump Off started basically with 2 units. Okay, there was one small slip and slide and one orange dinosaur bounce house. I was working corporate, right? I was a district manager for Journey's Shoes. I was in Biloxi, Mississippi, doing my normal thing, right? Doing a store visit, whatever, working with the employees. My wife called me and said, hey, I want to go over to Spacewalk in New Orleans and buy a used bounce house. And I know you want to quit your job, so maybe you can start a bounce house business. I don't know, right? So I was like, big time cosign. So she goes over there. She gets upsold into buying the water slide too. So she comes home with 2, but she got a smoking deal. And then from that point, I went on Canva and made my own logo and started a Facebook page and kind of started to grow from there. So that was July 2019. The whole time, about 2 years leading up to that, I was doing everything in my power to grow a following so I could do what I'm doing now, essentially, sell people things that I make, whatever. So I could leave my job. I was a miserable employee, and I kind of make the joke, all the people at Journeys loved me, right? Because I did a good job and I worked really hard and I made good decisions. But I always made the joke that I was a shitty employee because I broke all the fucking rules, right? Because I hate, right? Because I'm an entrepreneur. So anyways, I end up leaving there, start to scale the Jump Off. COVID hits. That actually made the business extraordinarily busy. I created a promo where we did a week rental for the price of a day because everybody's locked in their houses. And that thing went viral. We rented out the entire fleet in one day, in 6 hours. You know what I mean?
Wow.
At that point forward, I'm going to get goosebumps. I have goosebumps talking about this right now. From that point forward, it was kind of I did it. I did it. I'm an entrepreneur now. It's a bounce house business, which I never thought ever in a million years I would ever do. I knew nothing about bounce houses when I started the business. But it was kind of off and running, right? So I'm good at business because of what I did at Journeys for so long, running as many employees. And, it was a big business. I mean, I was in charge of $30+ million a year in sales. So I kind of know how to scale, and I know marketing a little bit and whatever. And so I grow the Jump Off, and we do a really good job. Then I start hiring employees. And at that point is kind of where I was training an employee how to roll one of the bounce houses. It was a bounce house combo. And I just said, holy shit, dude, I think this is the YouTube channel, right? So I handed my phone to Ethan. I said, I want you to record this, but I also need you to pay attention. And so he records me from my iPhone, teaching him how to roll this bounce house. But right, I'm kind of talking to the camera like it's a YouTube video. I upload it to YouTube, stick it in a Facebook group of bounce houses, and it went nuts. And so at that point forward, I started creating content. And then I had the small goal of getting to 1,000 subscribers between May and the end of the year so I could monetize. And I made it by July 15th. And so from that point forward, it just kind of went crazy. I'd go comment on somebody's post in one of the Facebook groups, and this lady, I remember this lady very specifically, she's like, oh my God, I'm fucking fangirling out right now. I can't believe it's you that just answered my question. And so that's kind of where I was like, oh shit, we got to go next level with this. And so then that's when I started kind of creating my products and trying to figure out, I'm literally at my own sewing machine, sewing straps, trying to figure out how to make something to sell. And I hit a home run with what I created. And that started to go nuts. And so then I flipped it to a proper Shopify store. And then from that point forward, it was kind of basically what I told my wife was, I said, every time I go drop off or pick up a water slide, the company makes $350 and I'm on salary, right? It's an S Corp. I'm on salary. I said, every time I make a good video, though, my future just gets a little bit brighter. And so I'm working to try and transition now into hardcore content creation, on the back of also being the CEO, so to speak, of the Jump Off. And then I also have another business in Christmas lights. I'm a Christmas light installer as well. But
it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Did the Christmas light thing, did that come out of, would you say, just necessity because of the seasonality of the bounce house game? Or did it come out of, do you think, boredom because you're like, man, I need to do something else. You're making enough money with bounce houses or whatever it is, but we all get bored as, serial entrepreneurs.
I wish it was that thought out and sexy. It's not at all. So after I quit my job, I walk my kids to the bus stop every morning. And it's something that I had missed out on when I had when I worked for Journeys, because I would leave the house at 6 in the morning and then I'd get home at 7 at night. Right. It was an insane job. So then when I quit my job, I had 2 bounce houses. So I drove Uber and sold garbage off the side of the road. I taught myself how to flip and resell so I could try and bring in some money. And so I'd walk my kids to the bus every morning, and it was it's still priority. I still do it every day. And so on the walk back, it's the week before Thanksgiving, my next door neighbor, Lori, says, man, I can never get Scott to hang the Christmas lights, dude. I got to badger his ass to hang Christmas lights. I bet people would pay you to hang Christmas lights. And I was like, that's not a bad idea. Okay, I don't own a car at this time. I don't own a ladder at this time. I got jet. I never own Christmas lights. I went inside, made a bunch of posts, did a little bit of research, and started a Christmas light company that same day. And then about 2 days later, maybe, I don't know, really quickly, I had people that wanted quotes, and I was hanging lights about 2 days after that.
Yeah. I get targeted for those. I get targeted for those ads, those hanging Christmas tree lights. I'm 40. I'm probably a little bit older than you. I'm 45. So anything I do in the future, man, it's gonna be comprised of employees, man. And that's always difficult when scaling something, because you really want to get good at what you do and know your industry well before you get into it. And it's man, dude, I would hire somebody, man, and just walk around with them. Because I hate hanging my own Christmas lights. I love my house being decorated, but I hate the actual fucking thing of doing it, man. I'm wearing Crocs up there, slip sliding around.
The shittiest job you could possibly do hanging my Christmas lights on my house. I did just a good enough job to where my wife would stop bitching at me. I mean, that was my experience hanging Christmas lights, you know what I mean, before I started. And then once I started hanging Christmas lights for clients, I don't know what happens, but something switches. And it was we're talking that first year, like I was just hanging Christmas lights that you had in your attic. Like I was just showing up, you know what I mean, with a borrowed ladder and a borrowed truck and hanging some shit. And like I'd get done and these people would be like, you are a god. I do not know. Right. And it's extraordinarily satisfying to where, you know, flip it to now where we run, you know, professional grade lights now to where it's like we cut to length. Everything's custom fit to your house. The guys all build it on site. It's amazing product. I mean, I have a Christmas light tattooed on my hand. Like, I love the industry that much.
Nick, I got a question. So when I was a kid, and I'm a millennial, when I was growing up, my parents didn't go out and buy bounce houses, birthday parties, or events. It just wasn't really a thing. And it wasn't until maybe like 10 years ago you really started seeing these birthday party and special event rentals. For like, we probably rented countless. I don't remember 10 times we've rented inflatables for my kids' birthday parties or parties we throw at the house. It just seems to be something that has happened in the past, 5 to 10 years. Like, why now? Like, why is this industry really starting to grow and expand?
My opinion on it is, so where I live is actually where bounce houses were invented in the 60s. So where I'm at, it's been an overly saturated market since like the 80s or 90s. But then it did start to kind of spread nationwide. I've lived in Louisiana since 2010, but we're from out west. And so now we go visit out west. You see them everywhere. Whereas I'm with you. Like, I'm probably a little older than you. I'm 38, but
I'm the same age. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I don't remember ever being on one as a kid, let alone seeing.
Just the county fairs. That's it. I might county fair. I might get on one, but that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So my theory on it though is because it's to start this business is a very, very low barrier of entry where you can just essentially go buy 3 units, throw them on Facebook Marketplace, and essentially you have a side hustle up and running that day, right?
Yes.
Now, if you do it like that, you're doing it very, 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 very wrong. However, that's how so many people do it. They just don't know, right? They don't know they need insurance. They don't know the general liability costs $5,000 to $6,000 a year. They don't know they need commercial insurance on their vehicles. They don't, they just don't know all of that stuff. And so you have this easy to start business. So then that kind of starts to spread and, it's almost like it goes like naturally viral. You get a bounce house for your kid's birthday. All the kids that came to that birthday are like, that was the best shit I've ever done for my birthday. Yeah. One, I need the same one or I need a bigger one or whatever. And so then you kind of almost have, it's almost backwards where the supply created the demand.
Yeah. And believe it or not, man, like we see the same thing in this market in water sports. So when I first reached out to you, I was like, let's talk about, because when I looked at the bounce house, there was so much, I was almost like, oof, there's too much competition. I saw about 60 until I started looking at their marketing. I started looking at their websites and their checkout flows, and I was like, oh, no, these are not operators. And I'm like, no offense to anybody out there, but like to your point, to the content you put out, and to what you said at the point of what you said earlier about low barrier to entry, that's what it looked like. A lot of people with 3, 4, 5, not a lot of business acumen, and they get sold by whatever booking software that you guys have in your industry on their platform website. And that's why all the websites look super similar. And that's why the branding looks all and everything just gets kind of lost in the sea. But what I found was really interesting about it was that of all of those companies that I saw front facing on maps on Google, all of them had reviews, and a lot of them had a large amount of reviews. So to your entire point, it's like there's a huge demand. Otherwise, there wouldn't be all of this competition and saturation on the marketplace. So I mean, we've seen this before, like in Destin, but at boat rentals, there's every time you turn around, there's a new boat rental, and to our detriment, unfortunately, when our guys pop up in a public park or something like that. And you guys, I mean, you guys are probably seeing it too, because I saw some, we get heavily legislated and regulated, and it seems like that happens in the boat house industry too in some states, yeah?
Yeah, some of the states, like Philadelphia is super hardcore. Like
Why is Philadelphia so regulated?
It's just, I don't actually know the answer to that, but those highly regulated states are all in that same little area, New York, Philadelphia, and I think the other one is Jersey off the top of my head. I don't remember. But I mean, there's manufacturers have to make special inflatables just for Philly and Jersey. Like you have to buy the ones that are made for those two states. And so those operators will complain a whole bunch that they got to pay inspection of $300 per unit every year. They have all these crazy things. The inspectors can show up to any party at any time and inspect their stuff. Everything's got to go. Like some of my products, they can't use because they're not approved for PA. Like they're just not approved, But what I tell them too is I'm like, dude, that's keeping right. You get to charge more money because of all of that. And then there's less competition because the people just can't get in. Whereas, Southern California or South Texas is kind of notorious for having the guys that'll do $85 for a bounce house, 2 tables, 12 chairs, and a cotton candy machine, right? And it's like, dude, $75? We won't even leave the warehouse for less than 150. Yeah. But it's just there's somebody that is willing to do it for less. So those highly regulated states, it's kind of a double-edged sword, I guess you could say.
Some kid probably got injured or died, and then they have some new laws or legislation that was passed.
They're inherently dangerous, right? It's like buying a trampoline. You buy a trampoline and put it in your backyard, your kids are gonna get hurt on it. It's just gonna happen. This is kind of like a low key trampoline, right? A bounce house is,
yeah.
And so, and then really, what you where they get really, really, really dangerous is if you improperly anchor them. And a pop-up little windstorm comes through, it turns into sail and it can fly 40, 50 feet in the air if you're not, if you don't do your due diligence.
So I want to jump into the economics a little bit on the bounce house. So, obviously renting it is where you make most of your margin. But in the water sport industry, Kevin and I preach on the show is that, the rental is just the, part of the hamburger is the meat. And then you got the toppings. That's where you really tack on the margin and where you make lots of money, so like we sell different protections, add-ons, additional time, all that stuff. So in the bounce house game, like where are you making your margin? Like what is the secret sauce to really being profitable as a bounce house entrepreneur?
So there's kind of 2 different schools of thought on it.
Okay.
And I kind of fall into the volume. It's just my personality. It's not, I don't have hardcore, math I've done on it. But it's just kind of like, shooting threes versus shooting twos in the NBA. Like the more times you shoot threes, it's a math equation. You'll just score more points. So my philosophy is if bounce house rental and water slide rental, right, make up 90% of my revenue, which they almost do, I'm going to like quadruple down on that and streamline the business to where those are super simple, right? Because that's going to make you the most money. Whereas then the other school of thought is kind of like the add-ons guy, right? So they have a high barrier of entry to where they restrict if you're not going to buy extra shit. Like they don't want you, okay? Whereas me, like I'll take you. You have money? I'll take you. We're good to go. Okay, they restrict things to where they're trying to drive their ticket sales up, right? So they're trying to make more money with less work, so to speak. And then they add on own machine. They add on the tables and chairs and all those other like small little games, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? And it's a very heavy upsell type of environment. I've seen high success in both. I don't think one is better than the other. I just always tell everybody, just go with what your gut is. Mine's a volume play, right? I get yelled at on the internet all the time because I'm well known that my prices are too low. I need to raise my prices. I'm like, yeah, but if I go up from 305 to 325, I may miss one rental and I miss out now on $305, right? Tacking on an extra 20, like how many times you got to add on an extra $20 to make up for the one that you missed? Like I'd rather be properly priced. And then like, it's like Amazon, right? Amazon does an excellent fucking job. They're also properly priced, right? They have a good price point where they're not the most expensive, but they're also the best. Like even the drivers are friendly somehow. I don't understand how Amazon does it, but
how do you know that you're properly priced? Like when it comes to competition in the area, like with our water sports, especially competitive areas like Destin with boats, there's so many, you can Google boats and there's hundreds of websites people like to compare, with the bounce house. How does that work? I mean, I guess like, are people jumping around site from site and comparing prices? Do you get a lot of price checks from customers? Like, how does that?
So before I got into the industry, like as a public figure, there was some bullshit formula about like it should be 10% of the cost of the inflatable should be your. I'm like, that's fucking horseshit. Like my house in Louisiana doesn't cost the same as my exact house in San Diego, right? So the notion that Michigan, an 18-foot water slide in Michigan should rent for the same as an 18-foot water slide in Miami. Like Miami rents 18-foot water slides, not joking, on Christmas. Michigan has like 12 minutes where they can rent. So the formula that I came up with was comps, right? So run your comps like you're going to sell a house. Like that's what a real estate agent does, is they run comps to see what is comparable price for sold and on the market. So you run your comps. Then for the bounce house industry, you got to add in your difficulty, right? So if you buy some unit that is on the market right now, renting for $305, and it causes you like anxiety attacks on Friday when you know it's going out the next day, you need to charge more to the $305 because that difficulty is adding, right? So you need to add what you think is worthy or remove it if it's super easy, right? You're like, fuck this, I can do it for $295 because it's so easy, right? And kind of be a little bit more ambitious with it. And then that little math equation right there multiplies by ambition. If you want to take over the entire world like I do, right? My ambition lowers my prices because I want to take over the world. If you don't, and you want to have this nice little business and you only want these nice customers, right? That ambition will raise your prices. Okay. So I'll do it for $305 because I want every single rental ever. You may do it for my exact slide for $405 because you're okay waiting around and being slower, but making more money. So that little equation that I came up with works in every single city across the entire nation and works perfectly. And anybody that puts it into use prices themselves adequately for where they're at.
Yeah, it seems to be like a heavily commoditized industry, Greg. And to the point of what I said earlier about like the booking software sort of like pushing this idea, because you have so many operators that it looks as though they know nothing about creating websites or digital marketing, and so they get an online booking software and they're like, hey, we're going to build your website for $39.95. And so I think it's even more commoditized than our industry, because it's like how Fair Harbor's, when you see like a Fair Harbor built website, and it's worse. Like their sites are so like they all look exactly the same. So I think it's hard to differentiate. So if price is the just pretty much the only factor, unless you're referrals or oh my god.
Well, is it worse than is it more commoditized than Chinese restaurants in the U.S.? Every menu looks the same.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
And one thing I was going to mention, cash flow is what drives business success, not as much as margin. And I think we get those things kind of mixed around. And sometimes driving volume and generating that cash flow can help you scale and grow faster. So that's a really good point, especially in commoditized markets. Like Kevin, you have the same philosophy. I mean, you don't fuck around when things are slow. You're after volume, and you go harder than probably 100%. Anybody else. So
it's to me, it's just the only way that I can like wake up in the morning and not have like a panic attack that we missed clients. Like I literally can't do it. Like my office manager she does all the client interactions, right? Like I go check her messages, like not being a dick, but like I go check her messages because she's not a natural salesman. She's a natural like administrator. Like she's fantastic on all the back end stuff, but I go in and I'll screenshot one back, dude. You can't just say, yes, it's available. You gotta say, yes, it's available. What time's the party? And they say 12, just make the fucking booking and the quote and send it to them versus cool. It's available for 12. Did you want it? Like, no, like we're going to get all of our sales and we're going to go as fast and hard as you can. You know what I mean? And the other thing that I realized right when I got into the industry, right when I was like, okay, I'm going to take this mildly seriously is I started to go around. I'm like, well, I don't even know who the fuck is around me. Right. So I start Googling and I'm seeing terrible websites. I'm seeing every logo looks the same, has a bounce house in it, and the bounce house looks like penises. Like it's all the fucking same. And so when I became a public figure in the space, I got so much shit for this logo. And I was like, I'm not backing down. If you do not put a bounce house in your logo, Nike has no fucking shoes in their logo. You know what I mean? And so I've really, really, really tried to take the industry to a place of good business versus some plumber, right, goes to Fiverr and gets some stupid logo. And they're like, I'm just going to name it Covington Bounce Houses. And I'm going to hire my cousin. And we're going to show up in wife beaters, not on time. You know what I mean? If you run your business like a businessman, you crush everybody because so many people are treating it so poorly.
You know, the reverse side of that, and like my friend and I like argue about this constantly because he's a marketing guy, and like a marketing guy to the point of like sometimes I feel like he's such a Google dick writer, like because it's like, but it's annoying and it's frustrating when you see a company that's got 15 or 25 reviews, but because they've even commoditized their brand by naming themselves Covington Bounce House Rental, they get preferential treatment in Google Maps and even in SEO. I know because there's nobody in our market that's got more reviews than I do. Nobody, by a fucking long shot. We've got almost 2,000 reviews and 5-star, and I fucking suck wind to blankety blank jet ski rental, blankety blank pontoon rental. Like these guys pop up and like less than a year later. So I do like, and I know the game of like, you can open up a GMB under a different name. And then, you know, because I felt the same way. And I haven't really changed my mind on that. I agree with you. You know, like we're Destiny Water Adventures. Everybody's water sports. I don't see anything sporting about renting a pontoon boat and drinking a 12-pack of Schlitz Ice. You know what I mean? Like, fucking, so but we are adventurous. And so like we've same, but it is frustrating when you lose out in the short term on those rankings because Google's very bizarre, antiquated algorithm of rewarding companies that have their keyword in their name, because those map packs are sometimes I would argue that the map pack ranking is even more valuable than your organic search. Like it, and it frustrates.
One of the kids that works for me that's 16. He's kind of like one of our newer guys. He's a great fucking kid. But we had our staff meeting yesterday, so I had all the guys in here yesterday, right? We kind of go over all the stuff we do every month, right? And he was the first one here, and he's like, "Yeah, bro, we show up first on Google," and showed me the map.
Oh,
and I was like, because we're the top,
awesome.
We're at the top on the map. And I said, well, scroll down, right? And we're like third, you know, in the proper, but he didn't know. He thought the map.
Oh, like in the sponsored, in the sponsored listings, or
no, like on the map.
I got you. In your organic.
Yeah, I was like, that's what I care about the map more than I do like the organic below, because it's like I'm not a blogger anymore. You know what I mean? I've got the map, and the map is what I personally always look at. And then whenever I ask anybody that's not a business owner that cares about SEO, they go to the map first.
6 years I've been fighting that map, man. I've had every SEO guy. I mean, I have more volume of content on my GMB than, I mean, we daily post to GMB, man. Like I fucking am like Google's number one fan. And that fickle bitch will not give me preference in the map pack. And I'm like, God damn you. But, you know, to that whole point, and anybody listening to this who does get off on the rankings thing, like, because we are so diligent, and because we are such a content machine, even though somebody might have those numerical listings or a couple listings above us, I mean, we beat the marketplace every time because we do voluminously post content. We do blog updates. We do picture updates. Our customers, because our customers see all this content, they're inspired to push content. Because we push our reviews, we're in their feed. So whether it be, you know, it's not always about, and Greg is the master of this, so background on Greg owns a resale, TripShock is a resale. They're like a TripAdvisor. They resell trips and adventures and activities. Actually, in your marketplace, you're in Louisiana, right?
Yeah, really close to New Orleans.
Is there like an Angie's List for the bounce house industry? Is there anybody that scoops?
Wow.
All right.
There you go, Kevin.
OTA, baby. I'm going. Well, so
I got a question for Nick before. So from what I'm hearing from the show is that this is like an extremely commoditized business, because we rented a bounce house 10 times. I don't remember the name of the company.
Yeah,
we just Googled Destin bounce houses. We went with the listing with the good reviews and had a decent website. We got to see pricing. So everything. So for someone getting into this, would you recommend them naming their business that basically goes after those keywords because it's such a commoditized business? Or would you say to build a brand, and kind of go that route? What I'm hearing is that try to create a business that attracts those searches, go heavy on volume, and try to get as much traffic as I can. Is that about right?
Yeah, I mean, so I've kind of gone back and forth on that answer over the last 2.5 to 3 years, but I kind of have my answer a little bit more focused now.
Okay.
I tell them that it depends on what you want to do, right? If you want to open a nice size business that's going to do $300,000 a year on the back of, roughly 20-30% margins after employees, right? This is like when you're a real business. Then yeah, name your shit Covington Bounce House and build a nice little thing, right? Which is what about 99.9% of people that get into this industry want to do. If you want to build something bigger, right, like I do, then go for the branding play, right? The red shirt means something to people when I'm at conferences because I'm in the fucking red shirt. I was on a TV show. I wore the goddamn red shirt every day, right? This means something, right? But that's because I'm trying to build something nationwide. I'm trying to build something huge, and I want to, I never want to exit with the jump off, right? I want to own it essentially for the rest of my life, but I want it to be its own entity. So it just kind of depends on what your ambition there is. If you want to be able to open in multiple cities, which is hard as shit to do, but it is doable, go for the branding move, unless you want to open Covington Bounce House, Biloxi Bounce House, Destin Bounce House, Pensacola Bounce House. You know what I mean? Just comes down to whatever you want to do. I can beat out, though, anybody that wants to jump in and open Covington Bounce House, right? I can beat them all out because the industry is full of side hustlers and they're generally speaking hacks, right? They're not serious about this. Whereas we are, our guys show up, we have a little card they get, right? And the guys write their name in and go get a Google review. We give them a magnet to stick on their fridge. We have all sorts of big, high touch things that we do. And then my guys are the hands down best delivery crews and most friendly, most customer service in the entire industry, period. I'll put them up against anybody.
Do you have hopes of going vertically integrating? So it seems like, and this is always, I'm like you, Nick. So I'm always a big picture guy. But some of the companies that I've talked to in the process of just shopping our own shit, seems like they have moved into the manufacturing space and started putting distribution together.
Franchise.
Well,
I'm just hearing franchise right now.
Well, not sort of, but I mean, these guys are actually building the products themselves over in China, correct?
Mainly China, but now a lot of Malaysia and
Cambodia.
Cambodia, not Indonesia, Cambodia.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, so that is something. So it's not out of the question. However, I have partnerships with two different manufacturers, and one of them I'm kind of, I guess you could say, really close to the back end. Dude, the amount of checklists and details, I'm not a details guy. So after seeing that last October, they flew me out to Dallas. Big and Bright Inflatables is their name of their company. But Matt from Big and Bright flew me out to Dallas. We spent 2 days together. I toured the warehouse facility. I saw the whole back end of how we're going to do how he does everything. And I was like, I'm not saying the jump off would never do this. However, Nick would never do this. The jump off would need a details person to go through those checklists and do that shit back and forth with China via email. And
I feel like that's so we probably swim around in the same waters of how we do business. I can see that 4-hour work week Tim Ferriss book behind you from a mile away. I love Tim Ferriss. I've always been a huge fan of his. But so I think, and even So this is where things sort of get interesting, like going from a 7-figure or multiple 7-figure into an 8-figure business, into a 9-figure business. It's like when Greg Holler's franchise, I feel like the only way to properly get into those levels and scalability is like you have to have bigger ideas than just besides like multi-city rentals. I'm not saying that bounce house is not, but I feel as though like scaling a bounce house in one market to 7 figures is probably a rarity. I mean, insofar as like how large the market is, like it's not like somebody's coming in and inside of 2 or 3 years scaling a business to 7 figures in a small market. And so in order to do that, in order to franchise and put those places all around the country to get to 10 million, that seems like a massive barrier to entry. So like when I look at this, like my brain automatically thinks like, you know, wholesale, distribution, and manufacturing, you know what I mean? And to your point is like, that's a whole another level of business acumen.
Right. Yeah. So kind of where I have it set up now. So Big and Bright does actually manufacture 2 different jump off themed units, right? So
awesome.
He sells them. They're his product, but they're branded with the jump off, right? And then I work partners on it, right? So I make a small piece when we sell one of those.
Cool.
But he's basically handling all the hard work, right? And then I just talk about them and people go buy them, right? And so that has worked out well. Where I'm in the so I understand what I have to do to be able to franchise, which is I have to be able to sell the model, not the business, right? Yeah. And so I just actually invented 2 new products that kind of take care of a lot of the headache part that comes with the rental side of this business on Saturday morning at 6 a.m. when you're loading trailers. And so they're out in the marketplace now. You know, people are buying them. They're doing well. And it's to kind of test to make sure that, cool, that's going to be something that we can implement. And then once we do, I can then roll those products, you know, out with a franchise model that kind of basically what I want to do is I want to make sure that it is marketable to a rich guy, not some guy that wants to quit his job as a plumber and do bounce houses, right? I could do that today, but I want to have it be something where it can be a lot more quote unquote turnkey, or I think the term passive is bullshit, but like, right, for lack of a better word, right? It can be something where you don't have to do the business or you don't have to do the work because I've set all the front end up, right? It's like opening a McDonald's. Like you don't have to go cook hamburgers, right?
Nick, is there a franchise bounce house company in the U.S.?
Yes, there is. It's Spacewalk. Spacewalk has a partnership program.
Yeah. They do rev share, Greg.
Yeah,
it's a rev share program.
Yeah, you get to keep 40. I don't remember if you get to keep 40%.
Yeah, I can't remember what the split was. Who got who? Once they said rev share and they said 40-60, I was like, Wah.
Yeah,
but it's not like a true like they sell you the model and the equipment, which just when we hired there was one scenario where we hired a company to do a bounce house. The owner came all the way from Navarre, and it's not close, and he was frustrated. He told me he was selling the business. It just and I'm thinking like, you know what, this guy would probably be a great candidate for a franchise because he just is tired because he needs help. He needs guidance. He needs the support of the community, like the franchise community. It's like Kevin and I, we had a couple franchisees on the show in the boat business. Justin Buzzy would get up and go kayak, and Kai Copro from Tour Scale, they do pedal boats. But they have developed these communities between all their franchisees and the employees where if, a captain quits, that they have someone to jump right in. And the bounce house business, I mean, if you lose your team in a busy week, I mean, you're fucked. So I can see a franchisee calling you up, Nick, and saying, "Hey, I lost my guy. I need some help." Boom, and you got 2 people on their way over to kind of fill in. Like that to me is very valuable. And if I would ever get into this business, it would have to be with a franchise because I know what it's like just hearing all the rental companies that we sell on Trip Shock and what they go through. These businesses are like so perfect for that model.
Yeah, and so we've got I've got kind of a test that we're running right now where we're going to expand the jump off like my regular employees, but we're going to expand into Baton Rouge. We've already started, and then we're going to make, I got to make my decision if I want to have it be the jump off, br.com, or if I want it to be Baton Rouge Bounce House. I'm going to make that. But basically we're going to expand into Baton Rouge. We're going to deliver out of here, but I have like kind of the whole back end of how it's going to work. And then Baton Rouge is a far, 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 far bigger city than where I'm at. Not that Baton Rouge is like a big city by any means, right? But once we kind of get rolling there, then we'll get a storage unit. We'll probably have dedicated units. So we're going to I'm going to go test the waters on my own with the guys that I trust now, you know what I mean? And then from there, be able to kind of start to build the blueprint. I think it's something that I could roll out and be very successful with if I were to put, all my time and effort into it. It's one of those things, though. It's kind of like I've got a lot of projects going on, and trust me, I do want my personality. Before I go launch something big like that, I want to make sure it's going to work. Yeah, because I've got a training. I'm launching a in-person training, and the time of right. We're not doing bounce houses right now. We're doing Christmas lights. So I've got one stop in Atlanta, one stop in Dallas, where I'm having a 1-day seminar of how to start a Christmas light business. And then all the support that'll come with that is kind of like, more franchise test. And then in the spring, we are going to do, hopefully we're going to do an Orlando how to start a bounce house business class. We'll definitely do a Dallas again because I could just do it at Big and Bright Inflatables and it's free. And then I want to do some stuff out west where I'm from just because I miss the mountains. But kind of use those classes as another, okay, can I teach this shit in one day and have average Joe go be successful with a minimal support team. Mm-hmm. I think it's gonna I did one class last year. I did it actually here at my own warehouse. Like people flew in from Arizona, Georgia, Florida, Texas. It was a lot of fun, and there was varying levels of success dependent upon if they were an established entrepreneur already, they fucking killed it. If they were not, that's where it was kind of almost 50-50.
Yeah.
Sorry, my wife made it funny. I was like, "You're leaving? Are you going to do this?" And then she did this. Oh, got me. Well, hey, we're getting toward the end of it, man. Nick, Nick, why don't you list off the places where people can find you and where they can consume all of your content? I know I've been voraciously consuming all of your content on your YouTube channel. So is everything it's the jump off? Is that how anybody can find you on any platform?
No, my shit's all a mess everywhere. So I wish I was that streamlined. Go to thejumpoffstore.com. That's the best place to go see my products and everything that the public can do, right? Unless you live in Covington, you want to rent something. But go to thejumpoffstore.com. If you are interested in the Christmas light stuff, the trainings, etc., that's where those tickets are sold on my Jump Off website. We are actually literally launching today. We're launching Let's Get Lit Supply. That is our distribution business we're starting. So now we sell Christmas lights to Christmas light contractors. That launches tonight, so I'm excited for that. My YouTube is Nick Glassett, and then all my social media handles are Nick O Glass.
Dope, man. Well, we really appreciate you coming on. Dude, I shot you a Facebook friend request. And, yeah, man, we really appreciate you coming on and being so forthcoming, and congratulations on all your success and everything. Dude, you're going to take over the fucking world with your attitude, man, and with your demeanor and everything, the way you're doing it, man. Anybody that's in water sports that is listening to this show or just jumping on this show, if you've not heard us preach or talk about the stuff we talk about, then go listen to Nick, man, because he's doing it right. And when you grow up, you want to be this guy, man, for sure. Congratulations, Nick, and thank you so much for coming on, man. Anyway, thanks for coming on, brother, and we'll see you on the next time. And for everybody else listening, thanks for listening, and as always, keep it awkward.